Beautiful day. Great to be here. Nice to see all our friends.
Well, I've lived here in Fairview since 1982.
Really?
Just a block over that way and 2 blocks that way. Yeah, Fairview's my home neighborhood.
Thoughts on August 10th?
We were all looking forward to having a summer without a special session.
Yeah.
You know, Sarah Palin dragged us into numerous special sessions.
Yeah.
As did Frank Murkowski.
Uh-huh.
To the great consternation of legislators. A lot of folks, it really disrupted a lot of family travel schedules and vacations and things.
Representative Gara's fishing trips.
Exactly. Les Gara is a big fisherman. So there was a lot of anticipation that we would have a real Alaskan summer this year.
And what a beautiful summer it is.
And what a beautiful summer it is. Now, last year when we had a special session, it was rainy and pretty miserable. So none of us really minded the long hours or the working in special session when the weather was bad.
Yeah.
But this year, you know, is a glorious Alaskan summer. And but the wild ride of Governor Sarah Palin has precipitated a, you know, in the old days, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, at Disneyland and Disney World, they used to have something called an e-ticket. An e-ticket at Disneyland was for the wildest rides, Big Thunder Mountain or Space Mountain. So everybody stood in longer lines to use the e-ticket. Those don't exist anymore, but there are still wild rides in Alaska politics, and the Sarah Palin ride has been pretty interesting. Lots of ups, lots of downs. And her surprise, shocking resignation and quitting the governorship means that a ramification of that is that we have to get together in a special session to sort of legalize and constitutionalize her lieutenant governor and her selection of a successor. We're also going to take the opportunity to override the governor's ridiculous veto of the federal recovery money for energy conservation and weatherization. That's one of the best investments we can make in Alaska's future and lower budgets for energy if we use that federal money that would otherwise go to Arnold Schwarzenegger. It won't help the federal deficit. All of those, you know, transparent and shallow excuses by the right wing of why to reject that money just don't hold up. There are no fat strings attached. And I've learned that, you know, Republicans basically joined the Democrats and said, the governor's full of it, this doesn't hold water. Her ideological objection to the money, which was more designed for a national Republican primary than it was for Alaska's interest. Sean Purnell is of the same view. He supported Sarah Palin on the veto of the $28.6 million for energy conservation and weatherization. But to his credit, he has said that if the legislature overrides her veto, he will administer the money. And it is not a foregone conclusion that we are going to override that veto. Conservative talk radio,
I was on Eddie Burke yesterday.
And the teabag people are for rejecting the money. Alaska being the only state, the state with the highest energy costs in America.
The state that loves federal money as well.
The state that loves federal money, that celebrated Ted Stevens for 40 years almost as a religion of bringing home the bacon for Alaskans. Isn't it interesting that when the partisan identification of, it's not Ted Stevens Republican, it's Mark Begich Democrat, it's not George Bush Republican, it's Barack Obama Democrat. When the partisan affiliation of our national leaders changes, somehow the federal money is tainted. Well, it wouldn't help the federal deficit. It would go to Arnold Schwarzenegger in California. What better way to spend the money in a high energy state than to avoid future high energy costs with conservation and weatherization? So, but it's not a foregone conclusion. There are Republicans in the House who are considering voting to sustain the governor's ridiculous veto.
Really?
Yeah. So all the people that think that now Sarah Palin's out, so the legislature will do the right thing and take the energy money and help out Alaskan families, that's not a foregone conclusion.
Interesting.
The public, if they think we should take that energy money and it would be unwise to reject it, they need to speak out in letters to the editor or calling their legislators, especially if it's conservative members of the House of Representatives. Call your legislator.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much. You know, Fairview Community is really fortunate because you've got amongst your elected officials several of us who have lived in Fairview off and on for years. And my first home that I ever bought was at 9th and Carluck, and I rented for years at 12th and Juneau. And Johnny was just relating to me when he first ran for office, he lived in the little white house over here. So, you know, it really makes a difference to have elected officials that know the streets, the parks, the issues, and the challenges in a neighborhood. And so again, I think you're fortunate to have that experience working for you in all levels of government. And regarding my former colleague, Allan Tesche, Allan Tesche and I probably didn't agree on a whole lot of things, but I'm not sure I ever met somebody who was more passionate about public service and about his vision of the community and what it could be. And I respect anybody that brings that kind of passion to public service, and he certainly did. And my heartfelt condolences go out to his family. I know his wife and his kids, and this is a tough time for him, but they've got a lot of support, a lot of good friends, and we'll send our prayers their direction as well. We have a formal proclamation for today, and I'll read that. This is from the municipality of Anchorage, a proclamation. Whereas Fairview is one of Anchorage's historic 4 neighborhoods with a rich and storied past, and whereas the Fairview Community Council was established and recognized under the Anchorage Municipal Charter in 1976, and whereas the residents, property owners, and businesses in Fairview continually strive to improve Fairview in thoughtful, innovative ways, including collaborative public-private partnerships, and whereas the ethnic diversity of Fairview contributes vibrancy to the wonderful multicultural mosaic of Anchorage, and whereas Fairview's motto, "People make the difference," exemplifies the neighborhood's positive attitude and passion for making good things happen in Fairview and the municipality of Anchorage. Now therefore I, Dan Sullivan, Mayor of Anchorage, do hereby proclaim Saturday, July 18, 2009 as Fairview Community Pride and Diversity Day, and encourage all Anchorage residents to participate in the activities scheduled for the day. Congratulations, and it's a great day for Fairview.
Because I'm a politician, I'm not giving up the microphone just yet. I don't have a campaign this year, so it's not about me. It's really about Allan. You'll probably hear a few things about Allan. Allan was the real deal. Allan cared about the people in this community. In city politics, the money comes from very many special interests, and those folks want you to do their stuff. And Allan always knew that he was elected to do your stuff. So FDR once said, the measure of a person's not what they do for those people who have much, it's what they do for those who have little. And that was Allan. So I was proud to work with him. Allan was funny, he was bright, but frankly he was the real deal. And it's going to be hard to go along without. So thank you very much for everybody for coming.
I'll be characteristic, which means brief. I'm glad everyone has nice things to say about Allan, but I can't follow that line. I have to fill his shoes, and that's a terrible, terrible task for anybody to undertake. He was a giant in our community. I'm doing my best to try and live up to his legacy, and I know how important he was to our community. So thank you, Sharon, for taking the time to offer us a moment of silence, and thank you to everyone for the kind words you offered to Allan.
We need good partners in the mayor's office, and it's a good sign that Dan Sullivan is here today. So let's give a big Fairview round of applause for Dan Sullivan, our mayor. Part of my task here today is to present this award, but I do want to say a quick word about Allan Tesche. Allan was quite a character. He was a funny guy. The mayor referred to, and I thought it was a very class act when Mayor Sullivan went on the Channel 2 News and talked about how he, over the years, over 8 or 9 years, had sometimes, or often, butted heads with our assemblymen from downtown. But they both were committed to public service. Dan Sullivan respected Allan Tesche as someone who was passionate about his work. And even though they might not have agreed on many things, they did respect each other's public service, and that's really what it's all about. That's all you can really ask of your public servants, is to have a good heart and to be sincere and passionate about the people they represent. And that holds true for both of those gentlemen I've mentioned. I now want to move on to the presentation of the Fairview Citizenship Award. It was Aristotle that said that politics is about the art of human relations. And whether it is Dan Sullivan or was Allan Tesche, they cultivated human relationships, some more positive than others. And you need good partners in politics. And you need good partners to improve a neighborhood, and that's what this recipient of the Citizenship Award represents today. They help our community with job training and education, GED completion, counseling, all those things that people need to get back up on their feet. It's not a handout, it's a helping hand from this community organization. So at this time, I'd like to call forward a good friend of mine, David Alexander, on behalf of the organization known as 9 Star Enterprises. They operate here in the neighborhood, and they're a great friend of Fairview. So let's have a big Fairview round of applause for 9 Star Enterprises, David Alexander.